Sync.
Woo! Sync did. All right. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Project Freelance. I am here with Justin. But before we get into that, before we talk to you, this episode is brought to you by Honey. If you guys are doing things for your shopping season, check out Honey. You can get discounts on pretty much anything and everything you could think of buying online, whether it be camera gear or if it's gift cards or if it's concert tickets. You can get discounts. Use Honey. All the details are down in the description. Check it out. And other than that, there's a lot of links for things that you might need help with adulting, such as tracking your mileage, keeping up with your expenses, saving certain things, lowering your bills. And if you're a filmmaker or a photographer, we have a bunch of deals down there for you as well. You can sell your Adobe stock footage. You can make money off of your photos, guys. It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. Check out all that stuff down there. And let's get into this episode. We are going to be talking with Justin Conant. He is a former merchandise manager. Take it away. Tell us about yourself, how you got into music, and all the things and stuff.
How I got into music? Or how I got into the music industry?
Everything.
Oh, God. The music industry was... Everyone kind of finds their own path into it. Sometimes it's through family. Sometimes it's through friends. And in my experience, some of the more difficult paths are starting without any influences or affiliations and trying to find your way through this what seems to be like impenetrable force of family and friends and all of that. But for me, the story is kind of more fan based. So for a few months I would attend a bunch of jumpsuit shows and eventually befriended
Who is
them.
Jumpsuit? People don't know what that is.
So
only you and I know what Jumpsuit
funny.
is.
There's this band called the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus from Middleburg, Florida. It's a very small town outside of Jacksonville. A nice little kind of fishing, kind of boating, kind of backwoods, kind of redneck town. It's pretty great. I lived there briefly for about 4 years. But while I was living in Pennsylvania, they were doing a lot of tours in the Northeast, and this was in 2011. And they would play shows in like New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, D.C., North and South Carolina, Vermont, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. And I would attend just about every single show I could go to while they were on tour in that area. And eventually just kind of befriended the guys, you befriend the tour manager and the guys in the band, and it was super cool. I really enjoyed hanging out with them, and all the while I would always bring my camera with me. So I always had an interest in photography, but never really took it seriously. But what I started doing was after every show, I would just give them my photos and say, hey, here's, thanks for guest listing me for the show. Here's, my essential entry fee. This is my inexperienced version of, taking photos. And they knew that the things you couldn't teach were there. So I had what they call the eye, but I just needed to upgrade my gear. And so I was just working at a restaurant at the time in Pennsylvania and saved up a bunch of money and bought a brand new camera. Now, this was back when Nikon first started experimenting with the mirrorless stuff. So I bought the Nikon J1 series, and it had like 3 kit lenses, which were really great. One like 10 millimeter pancake, and then 2 zooms. One was like a 30 to 50, and the other was like a 70 to 120 or something like that.
How much was the kit?
The kit, I think the whole camera for everything was like around $700, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, $600 or $700, somewhere in that neighborhood. Nice. But I bought like extra batteries, and I had all these filters for the lenses, and all the while I was still teaching myself about like ISO and like all of that. So all the inner workings of trying to shoot manual. And I would keep going to these shows and keep getting practice. Essentially, I would constantly go to shows in low light and learn how to take a better picture with those limitations. And they started to notice and really enjoyed what became an evolution of my photographs. So I started getting this idea in my head where I kind of wanted to do this for a living, and or at least try, because I wasn't doing anything else. So I reached out to the singer in the band and the tour manager and told them, like, hey, I have this idea. I kind of want to travel and take pictures, and they were into the idea. They just needed to find a way to make it work. So they had this guy doing merch for them at the time, and they had this other guy that was stage managing. And I think what happened was the stage manager decided to give up touring, and then the merch guy moved to stage managing. So they kind of had this opening in merch. And before that, it was like there was someone else doing merch, and she, I guess, quit as well. So I kind of had this opening slot. So I kind of talked to their tour manager, Jesse, for a little while, and I was like, I want to remember where this conversation happened. I'm pretty sure it was in Pittsburgh. I'm pretty sure we were at Mr. Small's, this really amazing theater. Not theater, it's this amazing reconverted church just outside of Pittsburgh. And they turned it into a venue, and it's one of my favorite rooms. But we were in the office upstairs, and he was just kind of like, hey man, I've got this extra room in my house. Like, if you're serious about moving and joining the road, like, it's all yours. Here's what it'll cost a month. And, if you're serious, we'd love to have you. So I was like, holy shit, like that's an offer. Yeah. So I told my job, who I would always come back from these trips from the shows and just constantly talk about this band, and they're like, nobody cares about that band, nobody cares about you or whatever. And I came to realize that is just the attitude of people who either unsuccessfully chased their dreams or gave up way before even trying. So what they do is they kind of surround themselves with this attitude that it just can't be done, or they wish and they wish, whereas a dream is just a wish with a deadline.
Yep.
So I gave in my 2 weeks notice at the restaurant, and I was like, I'm moving to Florida. I'm packing up all my stuff, and I'm just gonna go join the circus and figure it out. So some of them believed me and others didn't. And what a big help in this, and this is like kind of the part that a lot of people forget, is people just think I just had money and up and went, and I didn't. I had like no money to my name. I was just really good at living beneath my means and budgeting well. But this was like a big move, and it was going to cost me a lot of money. So what I did was I sold an investment that I had for, I started playing this game in 1996 called Magic the Gathering. And I had quite an extensive collection saved up. So after 15 years of collecting cards, I sold the entire collection. Like, me and one of my best friends, Scott, drove from Pennsylvania down to Star City Games headquarters in Virginia with his SUV trunk full of, I think it was like 40 binders, something like that, of cards. My friends used to call me the library because I just had, a play set of every card ever made. The last time I counted officially, I had lost count around 1 million cards,
Holy
something
shit.
like that. Yeah. So I sold that entire collection for $8,900 to Star City Games. They cut me a check.
And they just bought them all flat.
Yeah. Well, it was, you can sell cards there. The card trading, like environment is set up in a way where you can sell singles, or you can sell collections, or things like that. There's value in singles. There's more value in singles than there are in collections. But if you want to get rid of everything, it's just easier to sell things as a collection. So, like, for example, say there's an expansion called Tempest, and the collection as a whole, there are some good cards in it that are what they call meta relevant, or used popularly amongst professional players on the tour circuit, and those cards gain more value as they're used more and they become more popular. So there are cards in that set that are worth more than others, and there are cards that are worth nothing. Yeah. But if you try to sell those cards worth nothing, you're A, not going to sell them because nobody wants them, and B, not going to make any money off of anything except for the bigger, more expensive cards in the set. So what I did was sell them as whole collections, and some people collect that way. They'll collect every card in the set,
Yeah.
in which I was one of those people.
Sure.
You know, but the appraisal value of my collection, I sold it for a third of its value.
Holy shit.
So,
wow.
because that's just what
But
their
it was
buy
easy.
rate was.
Yeah, it was quick. That's great. And like you didn't have to go like do all the research online of
Exactly.
like
I
every
didn't
single
have to.
card.
I had
like,
to do this fast because
Yeah,
I didn't have. It was
right.
a very small window of time
Yeah.
to go and do this.
Wow. So what was it like mentally having to give that up? Like you gave up your entire
I
life.
sold my childhood.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
You
I
sold your
my
childhood to the devil.
I wouldn't say the devil.
Well, I guess to God in Red Jumpsuit sense.
No, I sold it. I sold it for an opportunity.
Yeah.
And man, what an adventure.
Right.
It was worth every penny. Absolutely. I will forever say that, because it really was a really fun adventure, you know. And I mean, there's highs and there's lows and everything in life, but in the end, it was all just really, really fantastic. But yeah, so that value was like $26,000, but I sold it for $8,900 because that's just how things work. You know, when you sell things to pawn shops, it's the same kind of thing.
Because they have to resell it.
Thing.
Yeah,
exactly. You want resale value, and they know they're not going to get anything out of those commons and uncommons, but the rares will sell and the other stuff like that. So I don't regret selling the cards. I do regret maybe potentially not holding on to some of the more valuable stuff, because years later I found out that they're worth almost triple what I sold them for.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
but I mean, how could you have known?
Oh, I mean, the market was constantly growing, you know, and the thing with things like those is that the older the game becomes, the rarer. There's only a finite number of those original printed cards. So,
dude, we have a storage unit in Oklahoma City, and there's Pokemon cards in there from like fucking the beginning of Pokemon.
Dude, yeah, if you've got like first edition base set mint condition Charizards, I've seen those sold up for like anywhere between $3,000 and like $7,000. One fucking card.
Wow.
Like there are professional
a piece of paper.
There are professional minting agencies that go out there and grade your cards.
Wow.
Yeah. You can ship them in, and they will put on the white gloves and
That's
check
tight.
the bend and check the corners and
That'd
check
be
the
a cool
tears
video to do.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
It's really extremely fascinating.
Hey, if any of you out there appraise cards or anything really for a living, it'd be kind of a cool podcast episode.
Yeah, it's really, really cool, because they can tell. Like it's just like money or art.
Yeah.
You can tell if it's fake. There are professionals that get paid to know this kind of information. You know, they know the card stock that was used. They know the foil that is used. They know the right down to the measurement of the numbered ink that they used, and which printings had more and less ink and stuff. Like it's really intricate.
Crazy.
So they can tell what's counterfeit and not. But luckily, all of my cards were purchased through Wizards of the Coast, which is the company that prints the game, and they were all hand opened by me via booster packs. You know, so just about every card was in mint condition, with the exception of friends who had quit over the years and gave me their collections. You know, so yeah, selling that and then driving, what was it, like 1,000 miles away from anything and everything I had ever known, to this tiny little town in Florida, to like. What?
To live in a trailer with a guy. To live in a van with a band.
With a bunch of dudes. So I quit and I move and I do this drive and I move in and was welcomed with open arms, and I get down there and everybody's super stoked. But I wound up, they were finishing up a tour. I don't remember where it was, but I wound up having to be home for like a month or two or something like that. I think it was like 2 months before I was able to join. So I had enough money saved up from that sale that I could live off of that until they got back, because they were like in the middle of the tour, you know. And when they got back, they were like, okay, you know, we've got a spot for you. Here we go. You know, so they taught me the ropes. They're like, okay, well, basically your job is going to be merchandise management, and we will teach you the best ways to sell and how to keep track, and, you know, how to do all of your, I had these like spreadsheets to like write out all the amount made and everything like that. So certainly a learning curve. It's not all fun and games. People always have this glorified vision.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've dealt with this a million times too, of like, oh, being on tour is the greatest thing ever. But my favorite,
It's a job.
Yeah, my favorite tour quote is, touring is the what is it? The way to see the world but never actually see anything. Or to be, that's what it is. To be everywhere but never actually see anything.
Yeah.
Because
To go to
you're
your
only in
favorite
town.
places and never be able to see them.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I probably toured through San Francisco about 6 times before I finally saw the Golden Gate Bridge and had time to go down there. Because it's just your job starts when you wake up and your job ends when you go to sleep.
No, your job ends when you die at the end of the night.
So it's extremely difficult to be on the road. Especially I was with what I would call a mid-level band.
Yeah.
They weren't beginners by any means. They were seasoned veterans. They had been around the block. They had been on the top of the top, and they figured out a way to make it work on their own, which I'm extremely proud of. They've been independent for like 5 or 6 years now. I think it's almost more than that. It might be up to 7 now. Damn. But fully independent, still doing world tours. They're about to play in Hawaii, and I'm going to go out and fly out there and see them. They don't even know I'm coming, but I have some buddies over there in a band called Beware the Bear. This is like their return show. And yeah, I get to go visit them and see them. It's nice to always catch up with them. But yeah, learning on the road was really, really hard because you have no frame of reference as to what it's going to be like. You're tired all the time, from either driving or working or
and it's like you
lifting
don't
stuff.
It's not even like a kind of tired you feel.
Yeah.
You just are.
You just
tired.
always are.
You're
And
just
then
tired.
You want to make time to see friends when you come through their town, but
Yeah.
the only thing I would tell them is like, listen, load-in's at this time. If you want to get lunch, I might have 20 minutes.
Literally.
Otherwise, I'm going to be working. Like, people forget that you're working full time. Like, you're constantly busy loading some gear or having to drive or having to figure out,
or go run to Guitar Center.
gotta run to Guitar Center to pick up supplies.
Yeah.
Gotta run and get food because they don't have time. Like things like that. You're constantly on call for anything and everything that could possibly go wrong or right. So a lot of people can't hack. A lot of people can't handle it because it's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
But I was blessed with patience, so I was able to work it out. But it was really, really fun. I liked it a lot. It was cool, and I got to see the world. They took me to 49 out of 50 states, and I just checked off my 50th.
God
and last
damn it!
Don't worry, we'll go.
We'll get there. We'll make
get
it.
there. So now I've been to 50 states
All
and 17
50
countries.
states. Are you gonna get a United America tattoo?
Dude, I'm not kidding. I almost got a tattoo while I was up there, and I just
You should have got that bald eagle, bro.
I should have.
Would have been
That
so.
would have been a good idea.
So American.
The bald eagle. That's a good idea.
You gotta get it next time you go back.
I might do that. Get a little eagle.
Yeah.
That would be clutch.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I didn't even
It fit
think
in
about
with
that.
your collecting animals.
Yeah,
from
I
other
kind of
places
started. I never
thing,
intended it to be animals,
right?
but it wound up being
sharks,
animals.
fish, turtles.
Yep.
Stitch.
Koalas.
Koalas.
Owls.
Owls.
Lion.
Yeah, literally. Like
Yeah,
all the animals.
I have a bat. Like, it's all animals. I'm a walking totem pole.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Talk about that. Yeah, getting tattooed on tour. Like, first of all,
it's-
the process of getting tattooed on tour.
Oh, some are
Whether
great.
you get a good or bad artist on tour.
Some are great and some are bad.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about my tattoos is all of them have stories. So I'll never regret a single one, which I'm really proud of. Getting tattooed on tour, depending on the placement, can either suck or rule.
Yeah.
So like I got my Dare tattoo in my first time in LA because that's where Los Angeles County is where the program was founded. So I got it on Sunset there, right across the street from oh gosh, what's that venue there?
Roxy.
No, not Roxy. It's down the street from Roxy, but it's across the street from what's that smaller one?
The whiskey.
No, across the street. You're on
Viper Room.
that one. Across the street from Viper Room. Yeah.
Across from the Viper Room.
Yeah. There's a tattoo shop there. I got it there.
Oh yeah, totally. I know
Yeah,
that
that little shop there.
Yep.
And that was really cool. And it's a knuckle tattoo. So I stupidly got a knuckle tattoo on tour when I'm like lifting boxes every day. So as it started to heal and scab up, like I remember tearing one of the scabs completely out.
Oh,
and so the color remained, but there's this like ditch in the A, like a chunk of my skin. But like I got my first trip to Hawaii, I got a turtle on my back. But then that was fine. But the only concern was it was summertime. And immediately after Hawaii, we went to Southeast Asia. So I was like constantly
Sweating.
concerned with it getting rubbed up against something, like in a train or
some
a
dirty
taxi
ass place,
or like a wall or something. So I was constantly concerned with it getting rubbed up against. But I could only wear a tank top because it's so hot.
And just humid.
So like you have to worry about infections. Thank God I've never had any of my tattoos infected. But it is really fun to like just kind of look down at my skin and see all these memories that I have from the road.
Exactly.
I have my thumbs are from my first and second trip to Australia. That was the one that started it, was the matching tattoo of the jumpsuit logo, which became my logo for my band photos. We all got matching tattoos that day in North Carolina, in a town called Jacksonville, North Carolina.
That's cool.
Yeah, which was really cool.
Wow.
So like each one has these really, really fun, intricate stories that I'll always have.
And if you ever get Alzheimer's, we can just tell you your own stories
me.
from your totem pole body.
Just memento me.
Right?
I think honestly, one of my favorite ones has to be the Africa one.
Yeah.
Because we were only in Africa for 4 days, and I jumped off of this mountain called Lion's Head, and I got a tattoo to commemorate that. It's like this lion's face and the mountain and a little like parasailer. It's pretty cool. I was really stoked about that one.
Yeah, it's very cool. So fast forward to, when did we meet? 2013?
Was it 2013?
I think so.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So I was living in Australia.
It's only 5 years ago?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
I know, right?
We've known each other since birth.
All right. So, yeah, I was living in Australia, and I heard that jumpsuit was coming through, and I'm a huge Red Jumpsuit fan. Always have been. Went to their shows growing up.
Well, yeah, you always, like you and your dad had
Me and my dad had always
gone.
gone. Yeah. Like, we loved Red Jumpsuit. So they were coming through, and some friends of mine were opening for them, and they were like, hey, can you come shoot our show? And I was like, hell yeah.
What's the name of that band? I remember
Emberville.
Emberville, yes.
Emberville.
I remember them.
So, yeah, we went, shot the show, and I saw Justin behind the merch table, and he had a Dare tattoo on his knuckles.
No, before you noticed the tattoo.
Oh, it was the flip cam.
The flip cam.
He had a flip
cam.
cam. Because I had been making YouTube videos, and I had been watching, like, Charles Trippy and the Shaytards, and they all used the flip cam.
Yeah.
And I saw he had one. I was like, oh, do you make YouTube videos?
And I was like, yeah, I make YouTube videos for the band. And I had no idea this little girl was, like, hot shit on YouTube. She's like, oh, no, I do too. And you gave me your business card, and then you noticed that I had the Dare tattoo, and you're like, oh, that's cool. You were like, why'd you get that? I was like, I'm straight edge. And they were like, me too. That was then. But
that was then. This is now.
But it was still, we were like, oh, did we just become best friends? And
click.
It was, I owe it all to Snapchat.
Yeah.
Because we would constantly snap each other back and forth.
Snapchat was our way of communicating.
Yeah.
Because paying for texting is ridiculous. So Snapchat was our way of communicating when I lived over there. And then I moved out here, and then
You moved to Oklahoma.
I stopped there. I paused there.
Yeah.
So I went to Oklahoma, and then came out here to California, and 4 days after I came out here, I flew to Ohio to go on tour with this band.
I remember this band. Oh my God.
So
you can't just. This is the perfect example of everything that can and will go wrong with this band.
If you've never been on tour, you have to at least one time do a van tour.
Yeah.
And if it's not your first tour, you're the luckiest person in the world.
Like Bryce's first tour was a European bus
tour. Like, fuck you.
I love you, Bryce. You earned everything.
Love you, dude.
You're the best. You're the best at what you do. Keep
killing
trucking.
it.
Keep killing it, bro.
Goddamn. But yeah, so I'm on tour having a miserable time. It's winter.
We're
cooking ramen in the floorboard because our van caught on fire.
The heat shield of the van.
The heat shield of the van had no cover,
it continuously overheated.
We're just on fire. It's great. It's fucking great. I'm vlogging the whole thing. There's like vlogs of this whole everything happening.
About
right?
You guys trying to boil ramen in the like little holes because it was so hot. It was boiling water.
We had holes in our socks. It was great. God, and this was my first experience on tour. But thank God there was a girl in the band, you know, like if it had just been a bunch of guys. Well, I mean, having a girl in the band was like, it ended up ending the band, you know, the relationship ended up destroying the band, but it was like a saving grace that she was there, seriously, you know. So Justin was on tour, and I was on tour.
Right. Oh, that's right. I forgot about this.
Yeah, and I was so pissed. I had like had it with this. I was like, I'm fucking over this shit. And he's like, you'll be fine. You'll survive. And I was like, dude, we were like kind of crossing paths.
Kind of, yeah. We were on the same path. You guys were headed south. We were headed north.
And so we were like, okay, we got to see if we can coordinate it so we can get our bands to stop at the same gas station just so we can see each other.
Yeah, I worked it out with Randy, the guitar player of the band, who's the singer's older brother. And he was like, oh, yeah, it'd be cool to, like, meet up. That'd be dope. So we found this, like, random gas station. We got there, like, 10 minutes before you did. And then you showed up 10 minutes later. I was like, oh, what's up?
It was amazing.
We get to meet at this random-ass gas station in the middle of nowhere, like Tennessee or something.
It's the little things, guys.
I still love that video.
It's the little things, man.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So, yeah, that having knowing somebody else that was on tour really helped in that aspect. So if you are a touring person or if you're thinking about it, you should definitely talk to other people that tour.
Yeah. I mean, it's one giant family, dude. Like, everybody knows everybody. And that's what I love about this industry is that everyone, for the most part, is pretty giving and really wonderful and generous and just fantastic. You haven't seen these people in months. They come through town, you know. You get to hang out. It's you pick up right where you left off, you know. And I mean, it is easy to say that about touring people, but like it's just people who travel in general. I think that's just the general consensus of people who travel. Yeah. You know, is that anytime you go somewhere, I call it making my rounds. You know, so like I just got back from Alaska and I'm going to Hawaii and then I have to go to Pennsylvania and then Florida. But like all these people that I've made friends with while touring this country and many others, they're all like, come back, come and visit. Yeah. And for the most part, people are like, oh, I'll never see you again. But like, I do my best to get back out there and you know, go hang again. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And that's like, the cool thing about touring is that we do build friendships all over the world like that. So like if you end up like stranded, like you miss your flight or whatever, and you're in like Chicago.
That actually happened to me.
People will come fucking pick you up.
That actually happened to me. I booked a flight back from, oh gosh, I don't remember where. I just remember being laid over in Seattle for way longer than I thought.
Which there's nothing wrong with being laid over in Seattle ever.
Oh, no, wait, no, it might not have been Seattle. It might have been Portland. I think it was Portland. Yeah, I was laid over in Portland for what I thought was only going to be like 4 hours, and it turns out it was 24 hours. And I would just randomly put a Facebook blast like, do I know anyone in Portland? And a friend of mine reached out and she was like, yeah, come crash with us. Like, you're more than welcome. Like, we'll, you know, pick you up from the airport and the couch is all yours and take you back. I was like, yo, that's what's up. And you know what? I would do the same thing for them. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I love about my touring friends. If anyone ever needs like a couch to stay at or, you know, just needs to refuel or, you know, if they need a ride to and from a venue, more than willing.
Yeah, if they need to like go to GameStop to get a new game for their Switch, whatever. Like, I did
whatever
that recently.
They need, you know, more than willing to go back out, you know. And I've been doing this lately is that I'll get like socks. Sometimes I'll get like extra pairs of underwear, little care package, things like that. Sunscreen, Tylenol, you know, like little things that you almost forget about that because you get like a headache, you know,
like emergency
you're ruining socks.
Yeah.
You know,
definitely.
Like, you never have time to do laundry, so at least with like brand new socks and underwear, like at least that part of you won't get
horrible,
gross. You know, little things like that, you know, because you know, sometimes you just don't have time to shower. You have 10 hours to get to the next venue, which is 11 hours away.
Right.
Like, good luck. You know,
we'll see you there. Doors are at 5.
Care packages like that have been something I've been thinking about a lot lately. And just helping with. It's something you think about when you get older, not when you're younger. You know?
Definitely. And as somebody that has like is on tour, like getting a care package like that, it just really like it fucking boosts your morale so much. Just that, I mean, think about the military when they get care packages. It's the same kind of thing, you know. It's like
you're far away from home, you don't know anybody. I mean, there are things that are familiar, and with the more technology advances, the easier it becomes. But you know, I tour with these guys shortly after the MapQuest days. Like, these guys used to tour around the country printing out directions from MapQuest, and if you missed a turn,
oops.
Oh boy, you better call someone's uncle's best friend or something who knows the roads. He used to be a trucker or something, you know, like, oh, well, I'm headed south on this way, how do I get there? Oh, that's real simple, let me tell you. You know, like nowadays there's apps and stuff and things like 24-hour fitness, having showers, you know, let me tell you about the wonder that is truck stop showers.
Oh my God.
The
Any
best
shower.
$11 you'll ever spend is a truck stop shower.
Yeah.
Because you get the whole room to yourself, and
Yep.
it's nice and spacious. You can just relax, and it's so good.
And you have like half an hour in there, huh?
You have unlimited time.
Oh
in there.
shit! You
have
can just
unlimited
sleep
time.
in the bathroom.
I mean, you could,
Fuck
but
it.
somebody's gonna come.
Right.
You
Someone's
know,
gonna
bang
be
on your
pissed at
door.
you.
But like, I'll usually take like a good solid half hour to make
Mm-hmm.
sure everything's clean. Get a good shave. And just really just like body care and hygiene
Goes a long way.
is a really, really tough thing to do on tour, especially when you're constantly surrounded by dudes that are farting all the time.
Yeah.
Because gas station gourmet is a thing.
Yeah. True.
Eating healthy and staying hygienic are two like really difficult things to do on tour.
Because I mean, you have to consider eating healthy costs money.
It does. It does
You know,
cost
and,
money.
and they don't have healthy options at gas stations
If
because
you're in the middle of nowhere, like
Yeah.
Idaho or Montana or North Dakota or something like that, like you're not gonna find.
You're not gonna find a Vons or
Yeah.
whatever or like a farmer's market. You might.
Yeah.
Farmers markets are tight on the road.
If you had
actually.
been through there,
Yeah.
once or twice before, and you're familiar with the spot that you found.
Yeah,
you
but
know.
typically it's gonna be your Subway, McDonald's,
Yeah,
Wendy's, Arby's,
Yep.
Taco Bell.
Yep, a lot of those. Sometimes you'll get the KFC Pizza Hut combo.
Yeah. Which is like, thank God for the KFC
I
Pizza Hut
know.
combo. You know what I'm saying?
And then, like, depending on which chunk of the country, and they start to change too.
Right.
You know.
You'll get like wiener schnitzels mixed with weird shit.
Well, as much as I hate Texas, I really love Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's is
Buc-ee's
great.
is like the best. It's like the
Buc-ee's
best
is
truck
great.
stop, bar none. Like
Yeah, you'll find like there's like the notorious like Sheetz,
Sheets in the East
Sheetz
Coast.
in the East
Sheets
Coast.
versus Wawa.
Wawa in the South.
Yep. It's in the Northeast and the
that's
South.
true,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
up
up
and
in
down
Philly and
95.
shit
It's
now,
starting to
huh?
spread west a little bit, but not that
yeah.
far.
Wawa.
I mean, then you get out here and you got In-N-Out.
In-N-Out.
Whataburger. And
Yeah,
like
so
that,
when you travel around the country, you have to go to the the local,
you gotta hit your
quote unquote
local
local
spots,
fast
you know?
food spots.
You become intimately familiar with all of the gourmet.
Yep. Yeah. All of the local cuisine of In-N-Out.
Yeah, and even internationally too. Like I remember.
True. Because internationally, eating is actually way harder than you think it is.
Well, I mean, I'm one of those people who like to get like local culture. Like I
too.
want to go. For example, I just got back from Alaska. The first thing I wanted to eat there was salmon. You have to.
Yeah,
so
crab
I
or
was like-
salmon, duh.
exactly. You have to get the crab or salmon. So that's what I did. I got a bomb ass salmon. It was like $30, but it was worth every penny. Easily the best salmon I've ever had in my life, and
Yeah.
probably won't ever be beat. First time I went to Hawaii, I had ahi tuna. Never eat tuna in my life. I was like, gotta have it. So when I went to Singapore, we had we had stingray.
Ooh.
That was
Nice.
a lot bonier than you think it's gonna be.
Bony? Oh,
yeah, it was like thousands of little bones. It was good. But like I remember one of our first trips to Australia, we were just stopping at a random gas station on the way to the next room because we were up and down the coast there. We were headed from Sydney all the way down to Melbourne and then over to Adelaide, all via van. Or it was like this weird bus situation, but the drive down, you wouldn't have time, so you would just get whatever gas station is nearby. And they had a lot of Burger King over there, but it's not Burger King over there. It's
Hungry Jack's.
Hungry Jack's. Oh my God, I almost forgot that.
Hungry Jack's.
It's Hungry Jack's, but they put mayo on their burgers. They're not like mayonnaise, but American mayonnaise is so vastly different
Totally
from
different.
Australian mayonnaise,
Yeah.
so it totally tastes different.
Yep. It's
like-
super weird.
But I liked it.
Yeah.
It was good, and their stuff just tasted better.
It does.
I don't
It just
know what
tastes
it is.
like a lot of it. I think has to do with like the oil they use.
That could be, yeah.
But like instead of like peanut oil, whatever, it's soy
Maybe.
or what. I don't know what kind of oils.
It just all of it just tastes.
but it tastes
1,000
way
times
better. Yeah, it's crazy, and it's like they're not trying to poison you.
Yeah.
That's how it tastes. They're not trying to poison
You don't feel like you want to kill yourself
Correct.
when you're done eating
Correct.
it. But
It's just
Yeah.
better quality, I think.
that could
like
be, yeah.
I don't know. I think they just care more about health outside of America, to be completely frank.
Maybe. That could be it. I'm not really sure. I'd like to find out more about that.
Yes, if you are a nutritionist, please be on my podcast.
Like every opportunity. If you are so.
If you are a mechanic on race cars,
Oh, that's really great.
if you work for the NFL,
That's so funny.
if you are Barack Obama, please call me.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay, so here's one. Here's one for you. All right. So where would you say is your favorite place you have been to as a direct result of touring?
Ooh.
Like someplace you never would have thought to have gone.
Well,
if you hadn't been on the road.
Like the one, I mean, I'm thinking like venues because the first thing that popped in my mind was the Masquerade in Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just such a
iconic
venue, you know,
it's gone.
To be able to, and now it's gone, rest in
R.I.P.
peace. But I mean, it was just such a cool fucking idea.
Yeah.
3 levels, hell,
Yeah.
purgatory, heaven. Like
yeah.
there was like a boxing ring in the fucking ground floor or some shit. That venue was crazy, dude. Crazy.
It was. I had the privilege of touring through there. God, probably about 8-10 times, something like that. And we always played in hell.
I think I've been there twice. I think I went with Escape the Fate and then with the Flyleaf tour.
Oh yeah,
We played there.
Tour. That was a good tour.
That was a good tour.
Yeah.
That tour changed my life.
Yeah.
That entire tour changed my life.
That's the other really cool thing about touring is that
Yeah.
like one job leads to another,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden all of these doors start opening up. You know, you were out with this tiny little band from LA, but touring with a big band like Flyleaf.
Yeah.
And through making connections with
And thanks to
Samir
Justin being like, yo, you have to get in with Flyleaf.
Yeah. Well, I kept telling you like you need to network more.
Yeah.
You know, like oop, there goes my phone.
See ya.
It's all right. Editing Kay can edit that out.
She got it. I got it.
No, I kept telling you to network more because you were always working, so you were getting stuff done, but it wasn't. Not enough people were seeing it. Is what I felt. You know, and if more people saw it, then you would get more jobs because the quality was there.
Exactly.
You just needed the more connections. So it's like if you're going to go out with a band like Flyleaf, that's a band that's connected and has been around the block for many, many years. So.
And it wasn't only them; it was them and Fit for Rivals.
Yeah.
Who like Renee's
Another Jacksonville band.
another Jacksonville band, of course, exactly.
Which the early days of Jumpsuit are attributed to, or the early days of Fit for Rivals are attributed to Jumpsuit because Ronnie helped them write a lot of stuff.
It just shows you how connected like this touring world it really is. Like Justin and I know each other from
randomly
this
in Australia,
band, and then we end up, you know, working with bands that are like direct, you know, like
just directly
linked to each other, and it just so happened that way. I don't know. It was kind of like the world just fell into place.
Yeah, it's just a really small world, the touring world, you know.
Yeah, and so I mean, of course, like I started hanging out with, you know, Fit for Rivals and Renee just because like they're great people, you know, they're good people to be around, and and that's the thing, like the touring world. The other thing about it is like everybody has their opinion about everybody.
Yeah.
You know, like Justin may have different opinions about somebody that I toured with, and I might have a different opinion about someone he's toured with just based off of shit we've heard or like things our friends have experienced, you know? So like we've gone back and forth over a bunch of different people over the years, you know, just from...
I try as hard as I can to not make up my mind about somebody until I, you know, meet them myself, you know, because it's very easy to say, oh, I met this celebrity and they were a dick. Like, no, you ran up to them in the middle of a restaurant while they were eating privately with their family and didn't want to sign your, you know, cap or something.
Right.
Like, and they're the dick.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. So, you know what I mean? Like, things like that. Some people have interactions like that and just wear this claim. But then, because it's such a small world, if you fuck up in the touring world, people find out really fast.
And I really wanted to talk about that in this episode. And I don't know if we should say his name, even though everybody knows. So there's this merch guy that just stole $18,000 from a band called Water Parks.
Oh, right, yeah.
And this is a guy that, like, he's known. He's really well known in the tour merch world, you know, and like the number one, like, why would you steal from your artist? First of all, that's not okay. You live and work with them.
Yeah.
There's consequences, and you know how small this touring world is. So if you do some shit, everybody's going to know, and it's going to ruin you.
You'll never work again.
And this guy's, like, being drugged through the mud, like, rightfully so. He stole 18 grand from his band, and then he claimed that he was doing it to teach them a lesson about not keeping your money in a cardboard box. Like, first of all, fair, but don't fucking steal, like, that just... that's not a way to prove something to anybody.
Austin was tweeting about how they were managing their money just fine. He just found a way to steal it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And that's the hard thing. Like, as a band, like, you put your trust into this person.
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
handling your money.
I was trusted with, a good chunk of change. I wouldn't say exactly how much, but I was trusted with a good chunk of change, and it's all trust,
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
thank God I'm an honest and
bands...
trustworthy person to the point where, like, sometimes I would accidentally, because I would have, like, a bank, every time that, just to make change for people who needed it internationally, or even just in this country. And sometimes I would give too much money, and they're like, and Jesse would be like, hey, you gave me this much, and this is how much was accounted for. This chunk doesn't belong to us.
Yeah.
Put this in your bank. Like, oh, okay. So, like, everybody's super honest and really great. And, like, Jesse actually studied, I think it was statistics or something like that, something with numbers in school. Like, he has a degree in it. So, like, he's really, really good with numbers, So when it came to, like, counting the money every night, I would say a solid 80, 85, almost 90% was in cash. And very rarely would it be on a card, So the card stuff, obviously, it's all digital, so that jumps through. But when you're rolling around with that much cash, like, it's scary. I remember when I first started, he would say, hey, if you get a little uncomfortable with the amount of money on you, let me know when you get to this amount, and we'll do what's called a drop. And he would come and collect that much, and then later we'll add that to the count at the end of the night, So there would be times where I was holding an uncomfortable amount of money because we were doing very good. And I'd be like, hey, can you come and take this for a drop? Because, God forbid somebody breaks into the venue and understands that they have that much money behind there. It's all cash. It can't be accounted for. You know what I mean? Aside from the numbers I'm putting in on how much is sold versus, how much I have left in stock.
Yeah.
That's the only proof I would have. It would be very easy for someone to come in and just swoop. There it is.
Yeah.
So I'm certain that this guy probably saw an opportunity like that, and fuck you for even thinking about that,
Like, how bad are you off for money that you feel
you're
the
not
need
going to
to
get
do
away
that?
with much.
Yeah.
It's like people who rob clerks at stores. You're going to get away with maybe
like
$500.
$500, yeah.
Maybe.
That's on like a hot day too.
Yeah. Like, you're going to burn through that in like an hour.
Yeah.
On whatever
trying
drug
to get out or whatever.
Or alcohol or whatever you're trying to get out of. Like, there are much easier ways to earnestly and honestly earn money. There are plenty of people just don't see it that way. And it sucks that this guy was in the touring world for so long, but this is the first time he got caught.
Correct.
Who knows how many times he's done it before and hadn't gotten caught.
And that's the where, like, the back and forth comes into play, like in the comments or, when people are talking about it, because you have on one hand people saying like, wow, of course that makes sense. All this shit, this shady shit this guy did. And then other people are saying like, what are you talking about? This guy was like a great person. Like I worked with him on countless tours and nothing ever like this has ever happened. But it just goes to show you, like, do you ever really know what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, I this actually happened to me. So I have many friends on the road, and a lot of them are roadies like me. And one of them got caught stealing, I don't think it might have been a little bit of money, but it was like a laptop and some other stuff from a band that I'm really good friends with. And he was caught on camera doing this.
Wow.
At a venue that I'm very familiar with. And they figured it out. But this was a guy that was like friends with everybody. He was doing tour managing gigs. He was doing merch gigs, and like everybody loved this guy. He was super down to earth, super chill, like really great to hang out with. Bent over backwards for people to like help out by like, using his brother's van and stuff like that. Just like saving bands money in any way he could. Like, why would he overstep his bounds and try and take something that wasn't his? But not only that, get caught on camera doing it. Like, why would you do that? Like, I don't know, just the concept of theft never made any sense to me.
I think people just sometimes, I don't know why or what it is, but I think they just have like a literal lapse in judgment, and they're like, oh, a laptop, I need a laptop.
But like,
I'll take
with
this
things
laptop.
like phones
They'll be fine.
and laptops, like people's information
stuff
is in there.
in
It's
that.
very easy to prove who's that, with codes that are
we can find where it is.
Exactly.
There's a literal app to find your shit. Even on my computer at my house, like my desktop, there's a find my iMac in case someone steals my fucking iMac,
Like, in what world do they think they're going to have time to wipe it without anyone seeing and like resell it on Craigslist for no money with some other sketchy dude who's going to try, like, what in what world does any of that make any sense? Like,
and it's so sad that people take advantage of touring bands. Like I saw yesterday somebody posted this band has been on tour for like 8-9 years, right? Never had an issue. Their last show ever before they play it, someone stole like their fucking Stratocaster out of the van. They stole like laptop, merch, all kinds of shit. And it was like, we've never dealt with this. Like, I can't believe this is happening now.
I mean, it happens on the road
all
enough.
the time.
Anyways, not even just with people working inside. Like, people on the outside constantly trying to steal trailers. I can tell you how many times I've seen
trailers,
like,
dude.
Full musical collection and trailer ready to go. Like, I toured through San Francisco again, like probably 4 times, and 3 out of those 4 times in the beginning. This is before, like, later on. This was like 4 times within like 2 years I was there. And 3 out of those 4 times, a band on our tour package had their van and/or trailer broken into, with
SF's
camera
really bad,
stuff,
dude.
laptop stuff, phones, personal stuff that they can never get back.
And it's hard. You can't say like bring all your shit into the venue because we don't know who's in the venue.
Jumpsuit had an old laptop stolen from them, which really sucks because none of those files are backed up, and there are so many B-roll songs that
like
they have
demos,
recorded on like GarageBand and stuff, demos, it's gone forever. You know, you can't replace those because you can't remember all those songs.
Of course not.
You know, there could have been, 3 or 4 records in there that they just, had this back catalog of things and ideas they were using as inspiration to record new music further down the trough because they were always just thinking ahead. And that laptop's gone, like they'll never ever get it back.
Wow.
And
so somebody could like get their fix or whatever. Say they did it.
Yeah. This happened recently. I think within the last 2 years, they caught this duo. I think it was either a couple or like 2 dudes that were like constantly stealing shit from this exact same venue and then dragging it to like a storage facility nearby.
Oh.
And they had been doing that, and they finally got busted, and they open up this unit, and there's like all this other stuff that's in there, and like,
oh my god,
for years of doing that and never getting caught. I read about one that another, like 2 homeless people stole some stuff and dragged it to like a motel nearby, and they had like all inside this motel.
Oh my god!
All this stolen gear, and like you could see because it was in the snow, so you could see like the
drag
tire
mark.
marks, like when stuff like why? Oh god, it's hard enough having to deal with assholes that don't even belong.
Yeah.
Now you have to worry about people that are on your crew.
Yeah.
And people wonder why it's so hard to get into the music industry. That's one of the reasons, because you have to be a trusted individual.
We're making it, the bad people out here are making it harder for the good people to get in.
Absolutely. And I'm still astonished. I mean, I befriended those guys within maybe 3 months. After first meeting them, I think it was in April of 2011, something like that. I moved in by the winter.
Wow.
I think it was in either November or December that winter I moved in. Something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And that was really fast, but thank God I'm an honest and trustworthy person, and they were able to suss that out, because when you're on the road long enough, you can kind of sort out people.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you learn how to
sometimes
read people.
they're not. You can read people pretty well because you meet all walks of life, and some people act really shady and you're like, hey, heads up on this, so you can look out for as many people as you can. But God, having to worry about theft in your own camp, what a nightmare.
Yeah, I can't imagine that.
What a nightmare.
And it's like, why would you want to... I wouldn't even want to be living with these people. Like, say, I did this, Say, I went and stole 18 grand from water parks and I was on tour with them, I don't know how I'd be able to, live with myself on tour while I'm on tour with them, hiding their money that I've stolen from them.
Yeah.
And having to lie, out my ass. That stress alone would kill me.
On top of all the stress you're already
getting. That's what I'm saying. Fuck, dude.
Why would you?
That's so much energy. It's so much energy to be a piece of shit, man.
God, I don't understand how some people just have the capacity in them to do that.
Yeah. What did you use spreadsheet wise? Did you, for people that might listen to this that do want to get into merch management, there's shit at Venue, which. God.
At Venue is fantastic.
It's fantastic, but I hate it.
We wound up getting to At Venue.
Yeah.
And there's another one that's there's another app. Oh God, what was it called? It has a red icon. Maybe it is At Venue. I thought there was another one. Tour Manager or something like that. I used to have it, but it drowned in my old phone.
That's a fun story.
Yeah, that's a bad story.
Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can find it right now. iRig?
No. I think it was called Tour Manager because you could like sift through, like day sheets and the tour package, like everybody's email contact on the tour package.
Right.
I think it was called Tour Manager.
I mean, that would make sense.
But like apps like that have been really fantastic.
There's one I heard about recently. I think it is. Hold on. No, that's not it. Well, another good one for touring, just for everybody. Master Tour.
That's the one. Master Tour.
Master Tour is great.
It's the red star with the microphone.
I'll put all the links to this stuff down below, guys. Venue, Master Tour.
And then one that I really love that was super handy for tour is that truck stop app.
Yeah.
It was like a truck stop locator. What was it called? Trucker Path. Trucker Path was really fantastic. It's just a full map of every truck stop in America. And if you don't want to stop in some hole in the wall gas station in the middle of nowhere, you can just click on the waypoint and see how far away it is, whether or not they have showers, whether or not they have food, whether or not they have gas, how much gas is sometimes. That app saved me a lot of headaches having to, not having to deal with like Google searching and Google Maps, like where the next truck stop is, so you can plan your route more better.
I feel like I should do a whole episode on apps. For
those were my top 3 apps. Oh, and then when I started going international, I would use the currency app because there was one time where I had to change currency 4 times in a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because we were just in that many different countries.
Dang.
Like we were island hopping in Southeast Asia. That was wow.
There's a new one I heard about, but I don't know the name of it, so I'm going to have to ask. I'll put it down in the description for you guys. But basically, it will, let you know when you're going to be... It'll, wake you up, an hour before you get to your new destination.
Oh, cool.
On tour. And so that you can, prepare yourself to wake up. So you
up,
don't, wake up and you're just, there and have to go
we're here.
Straight in.
We're 15 minutes late. Let's load in.
Right, exactly. A friend of mine posted about it. I'll have to ask him what it is. But
that's cool.
There's a ton of apps out there. Around Me is a really good app. I don't know if you've used that.
Around Me was one I used for a while, but then I was really only using it to find truck
local
stops.
Food. Yeah, that's what if I was at the venue,
yeah,
exactly. But the trucker app's probably a better way to go for that. So at venue, but you did everything manually, on pen and paper, spreadsheet wise.
It started off with pen and paper stuff, and then the spreadsheet stuff was always just on what was it, Microsoft Office or whatever.
Yeah.
What is
Excel.
Excel, thank you, Microsoft Excel. It was on that. It was an Excel spreadsheet.
And what it I'm trying to think of questions or things that you struggled with as a merch person you wish you knew. Or wish you had a tip about, folding boxes, how to store your merch properly,
everybody has their
type
own
of bins you should get. Don't get cheap ass bins.
I tried every version of organizing and sorting, and there's a professional way to do it. When I started doing festivals, I started learning from people who had been in the game way longer than me. And the way they were doing it was the most efficient way that I was able to figure out. What they would do is they would make these things called plumes, right? And each box, because it's festivals, the boxes would just sell out. It would be different for venues, depending on the size of the rooms you're playing in, depending on how much merch you're selling. But for festivals, this was great. So you would make these plumes, or it would be each side of the box would be a size. So it would be small, medium, large, extra large. So it was bottom, top, left, right, that sort of thing.
And it's easy when you're selling because you can just grab it. You don't have to search through your fucking shit.
Yeah, you don't have to look. You can even if someone else did the plume, you could walk over and it would be the exact same thing that you're looking for. Here's the size. You could look over, just eyeball it and see if there's any smalls left, or look over and see if there's any mediums left of this one. Things like that.
Yeah.
So when they started doing the plumes, and then count in, count out. So you'd count in how many of each item you have,
which is critical, you guys.
Yeah.
And
then
stress the importance.
Yeah, because sometimes you forget to mark oh, did I do this? Count out, count in is the best way to do it. And then at the end of the night, if your sales were correct, everything will add up perfectly, which mine always did because of count in, count out. And I never let anybody slide. Occasionally this would happen where sometimes a venue would take a merch cut and then my dudes would say, hey, they would rather a t-shirt than a merch cut, which by the way, if That's venue ever offers that, give them the t-shirt instead of the merch cut.
Well, to talk about what merch cuts are and why venues take them.
I don't know why they take
Because
them.
they can.
And I know that there's a movement right now trying to get them to stop doing that.
Yeah.
But what they'll do is occasionally, depending on how the contract is set up for the venue, because it's different for every venue, the band will get paid X amount of dollars to perform. The tour package will receive, layered down versions of payment depending on where they are on the tier. So tier 1 would be the headlining band. They get the bulk of the payment, and then say the second band in line would get a smaller portion, and then third band, and so on and so forth. So they would each get their whatever guarantee was. They call it a guarantee. So let's say it starts at like $3,000 for the headlining band, $500 for the main support, and then like $100 for the opening act or something.
Sorry
like
about
that,
it. Y'all gonna be eating ramen tonight.
Yeah. So like those are just like made up numbers, but like that's an example of what like one could be. In it, and it's different for every room. But when merch cuts comes in, what they do is sometimes there are different kinds of deals they do. Like there's door deals where like if the room isn't sold out, but you expect a giant walk up, like a bunch of people are going to walk up and buy the tickets the day of the show when it's about to start at doors. They'll do what's called a door deal, and you can get like more money that way sometimes if you expect a good walk up in that town because you're familiar with that town. So sometimes it would be wiser to do that, and then they would get like a merch cut as a result or something like that. So like a percentage of your sales would go to the venue. I don't remember what the reason is. I know that it's somehow a part of the contract. I don't remember what
I think it's because you're technically like soliciting inside their venue.
Maybe.
You're selling
I
a
think it might have
product in their
something to do
venue.
with taxes in the
Yeah.
state or something like that.
If you
don't
are a
remember.
if you are a venue owner, can you be on my podcast?
Yeah. It had something to do with that. But either way, some venues were like 10%, some were 5, some were 15. Most were about 10 or 15. Sometimes they'd be 15, 20% of your total sales. And most of the time that's on like the honor system as well too, because how can they prove how much money, But like if they want a t-shirt instead, give them that, because if you look at cost for a t-shirt, it's way cheaper than a percentage of your sales, especially if you did good that night, Yeah. And occasionally, usually it would be on what's called soft goods, which would be like your t-shirts.
Only t-shirts, because a lot of times bands have to
Clothing.
repay their label for, their records, for their physical CDs,
Yeah,
so they won't take hard
When
sales.
I first started, they were some venues would take cuts of hard sales. They would take cuts of CDs and like EPs, and when we had the vinyl records, they would take cuts of those. What else would be like anything that wasn't t-shirts? So like we would have sometimes keychains or like bottle openers or.
You guys had guitar picks.
I usually just gave those
Yeah.
away to like
What else
super
did
fans.
you guys have? You had like wristbands?
Wristbands, that's
That
a
was
big
the
one.
other
That
thing.
would be considered a hard sale. Hats, I think, would be considered a hard sale as well. Things like that.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how or why they did that, but that was always annoying that they would do that. I never understood why.
Did you ever what were some of the what are some of the trade secrets of selling merch? There were things they'd be like, don't report that to them. Don't tell them about that. It's fine. What do you mean? For hard sales, soft sales, stuff like that.
I just
Or shirt prices.
I pride myself on being just an honest person.
Yeah.
So whatever my sales were, I would give them whatever that percentage was,
Yeah.
But as far as sales tactics to
Right.
getting people to buy stuff, some people just want to spend $5, So having something easy, quick, boom, whether it be a wristband or a small EP or like a little cap or something like that, having a $5 item on the table is always wise. Sometimes it would be a poster,
Mm-hmm.
$5 items are the best seller because I would sell the most of those. They may not always make the most money, but they would sell the most quantity wise.
Because it's cheap, it's quick.
Your
like you
easy,
said.
quick chump change.
Yeah.
People just want to show up, spend $5 and leave.
Yep.
I was there. I got something. You know what I mean? $10. Sometimes only things in the $10 range are going to be a CD, but who buys CDs anymore? So that's
You would
harder
be
to sell.
surprised.
Shirts would be anywhere between 20 and 25 depending on the quality. Sometimes it
Yeah.
would be a front back print, sometimes it would be a long sleeve, sometimes only a front, sometimes it'd be a pocket tee.
Or like a tie-dye
Hoodies,
or
yeah, like hoodies would be like 35 to 45 depending on the quality, things like that.
What about price matching?
Price matching sucks. So price matching is if you're playing usually this would happen to me at festivals.
Yeah.
So like we did this show with Godsmack in upstate New York, like 7 years ago, in a town called Watertown, and they had asked us to do price matching, and what that is basically whatever they're selling their T-shirts and CDs for, you have to match that price, even though that's not what normally you would sell yours for. Now, for the most part, your stuff's going up in price. I don't think I've ever seen a price match where it went down in price.
Yeah.
For the most part,
True.
it was going up in price. So that was always difficult because it's hard enough to sell your merch at the things that you value as fair, but when you have to try and sell a T-shirt that you value at $25 for $35, I always felt bad about that because I always felt like I was ripping off people.
Definitely.
So that's, I think it's different from band to band because sometimes they're okay with that or they're already at those prices.
Yeah.
But other times, not so much.
But you're selling a T-shirt for $35 at a show. Come
Well,
on. Come on.
this was Godsmack.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that.
You know.
Okay. Yeah. You're right. If you're
I've
on that
seen
level,
bands, like,
and
I've
we're
seen-
at a festival, we're talking festivals, so that's
like
different.
Metallica, bands, the huge, heavy-hitting arena bands I've
Yeah.
seen, shirt sales for $35.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen Blink sell $35 T-shirts. I've
Yeah.
purchased $35 T-shirts at a Blink show.
Yeah.
All of them.
crazy.
I used to go to Blink shows in Philly and spend all my money. I spent $300 in merch one time at a Blink show.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think I got like 5 shirts, posters, and some stickers. I still have those stickers. They're somewhere.
That's awesome.
But yeah, price matching, that's a good question. That's a tricky one. I don't like doing it, but it's something you have to do sometimes. And you just do your best.
What else?
I would always just going along the lines of like selling stuff. My favorite tactic was to just kind of like I would never haggle.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people try to like, hey, can I get this for this much? Like, no. This is how much it's worth. That's like a big thing for me. Like, don't rip off artists. If an artist says this is how much it is, don't try to get the best price.
Yeah.
They've already figured out that is the best price. I understand if you just don't have enough money. Sometimes you just got to let that go. And sometimes people are like, okay, all you have is $20. You spent your last $20 getting here. You spent your last $15 getting into the show.
Yeah.
Like, fine, $20, it's yours. That's all you had. That on very rare occasions I've done that because I know some people that they literally spent everything they could to just even get to the show. And if that's the case, more than happy to.
Definitely.
But like if it's just people trying to just get the best deal, like don't rip off artists.
Yep.
This happens, this happens to photographers all the time.
Oh,
I saw
God.
somebody bitching on Twitter just yesterday. Like, if I set a price, don't try to rip me off. I'm not trying to shoot for free. Like, it's the same thing with artists. Like, they can't sell records anymore because everything's digital.
Yep.
So now they have to sell things like meet and greets.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
people get pissed about that.
Yeah,
like,
because-
sorry, we don't have a choice.
Dude, one of the best things that I ever was that your ticket, and this was from my, I'm gonna put him on blast here. It's my buddy Danny Samet. He's a fucking good dude. He's someone I met really early on in the touring days, and he really worked his way up. And now he's like he tours with Thrice and a couple other bands. But that dude I learned a lot from that guy. He just really understands the touring world to a degree that's like expert level. He's really, really great. But one of the things I remember reading on his Twitter feed a few years back was that a ticket, like there was this conversation at the time, people were bitching about that they didn't get to meet the band because they were at the show. Your ticket is for the show, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that should be enough. This sense of entitlement with kids at shows now, like that they must meet the band, that they must get a free pick or shirt or CD or whatever. Like that entitlement factor really bums me out because these guys are working their asses off just to even be there. And they're getting ripped off from everybody who wants a hand in their pocket.
And we're in an industry that is literally built to mentally destroy you.
Yeah. So, like, why would you add to that pile of bullshit to try and rip off a band that you are trying to support? Support the band by buying merch. Yeah. It's very easy to do. Yeah. It's very easy. You know, give up something that week. You know,
yeah.
Don't get
buy
coffee at
7
Starbucks.
beers. Yeah.
You know, don't go out drinking that one night.
Yep.
You know, there's an extra $20 in your pocket.
Yep.
It's just about managing money, man. Mm-hmm. It's all about managing money. It's not hard to do. But that entitlement factor, like, I hate that.
Yeah.
If you meet the band as a result of being at the show, great.
Sick.
Bonus points.
Right.
You know, there are polite ways to do it, and there are rude ways to do it. I know some people that have, like, snuck their way backstage.
Oh, yeah.
And some people that have snuck their way onto buses. And
it's not the right way to do it. It's not.
Like, there are much more polite ways. And it's a safety factor. Yeah. A lot of the times, they don't know who you are. Yeah. They don't know your intentions. I mean, look at what we have to deal with now with, like, who was that singer in Florida that got shot by a fan?
Christina Grimmie. Yeah.
Christina Grimmie.
Friend of mine, Ashley Nicole Photo, we actually did a podcast together. They used to be, like, she used to take photos of her. They were friends and shit. Like,
now it's a safety issue.
It's a safety issue.
I mean, it always has been, but, like, now it's, like...
Now it's, like, imminent. It's, like, a very ever-present concern.
What did that girl do to anybody? She was
literally nothing. Literally was just beautiful.
Just a bright, talented teenage girl.
Just a polite person, man.
Gone.
Shot.
Because somebody felt entitled.
Yeah.
To get there. And that was a person that was like open arms. Like, absolutely, I would love to meet you. And then out of nowhere, she got shot because of it.
That's crazy.
You know? And so this whole, like, I bought a ticket to the show, I should meet the band bullshit.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Like, no. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
If you meet the band as a result of it, great. I've had that opportunity happen before I started working in the industry. Mm-hmm. You know, I've had opportunities to meet many bands that way. But that's because they decided to take time out of their day and their sleep schedule and their busy driving schedule to come down outside of the bus and come and say hello. Yeah. They didn't have to do that. They didn't. Under no means.
They're there to play a show, period.
That's their job. Show up, play the show, leave. You know, that's their job. They
and
don't have to do that.
People forget that, like, they may not have time. Like, if you're, say, coming through Los Angeles, if you're going through New York, if you're going through Jacksonville, you have cities. Press management. Yep. You are booked back to back to back. You're going to FYE. You're going to Guitar Center. Yeah.
There's a million things to do.
It's a job. It's not just playing the 30 minutes.
Is tough enough.
Yeah.
You know? And when they do have free time, I'll tell you this. Anytime I had free time on the road, I slept.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I slept.
Fuck yeah.
Any chance I could, I tried to get some extra sleep in because you're just always tired.
Yeah. Just the fans, like, you have to remember it's about you, but it's not all about you.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they wouldn't be where they are without your support.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that they owe you
freebies.
Yeah.
You know?
They don't, They already gave you what you were owed as music and the performance.
Exactly. You know?
People.
That bummed me out. I think I read about that. I know Danny said it, but I don't remember what the conversation was. I don't remember what band, but I just remember it might have been like something he overheard at a show or something like that. But, like, man, that just, like, super bummed me out that was even a culture, you know, of kids.
And it's real. Like, we're friends with a lot of these bands, so we hear it from not only their social media, but from them personally about how can you be so entitled? What, like,
I've been struggling with just entitled people for
and
the last
they get angry about it. Like, you get so angry. That's the thing. Like, it's not just like entitled, it's like angry entitlement.
I wish my world was that small. I'm almost a little jealous, you know? You know, like, how can your world be that small?
Yeah.
You know?
It's unreal. Let's see, what else what should we talk about? Talk about mental health on tour. Talk about your brain. You know, living with a bunch of people that all have their own mental fucking struggles and their own personal problems and all living together for months and months and months at a time.
It's incredibly hard. Getting up every day is a blessing, you know. A lot of times you get into this kind of, it's almost robotic mode where you just have to get up and go, it just has to be done, you know.
The show must go on.
Gear has to be loaded in. We have to cover this mileage, you know. You have to eat. I would say things like just like being on the road for so long and reading up on mental health over the last like 5-7 years. When people started speaking out about what they do to help and engaging in a conversation publicly, that's when it started getting better.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Yeah.
So I would read blogs or tweets or whatever about, you know, today I did this. Like, oh, right, okay, I should do something like that. So like exercise has been scientifically proven to help mental health. Just public interaction, being outside, getting sun, going for a
Which
walk.
is shocking because you're on tour surrounded by people, but you're still very, very alone at the end of the day.
Because you're just in your bunk.
You're just in your bunk. You shut
your
that
little coffin.
curtain and you're in a coffin by
Sometimes
yourself.
it's not even a bunk. Sometimes it's just a bench.
Yeah, a bench, the
Or
floor.
the floor.
You know, I've many a nights on a van floor or squished up in the front seat, you
Or
know.
the floor of like a Super 8. you know?
Right?
Like, or sometimes it's somebody was grateful enough to open up their house to you.
Someone's
you know?
concrete basement floor,
yeah,
you know.
I've done
Yeah,
that. Concrete
yeah,
basement floor.
definitely.
Absolutely.
Some sketchy ass places I've slept in. I tell you what.
But some are really grateful, and I'm
Definitely.
ever so
Oh, yeah.
thankful for people like, you know, like Petra House in just outside of
And
Atlanta,
like we
Georgia
could talk
there.
about Mama, like
Oh my God,
Mama
Mama.
Misha, like if you tour, if anybody that tours
Anyone who tours in Orlando, anyone near
knows,
Orlando,
not
about
even
Mama.
Orlando, just in the United States, you know who Mama is. Like if you're ever going through Florida, Mama Misha will put you up.
Dude, she's
Get you waffles, get you socks, haircut, anything you need. Take
I
you to
owe
Disney.
her. People like her
Yeah.
make touring easy, and they make touring fun. And she is just one of those people that just can't be replicated.
Yeah.
Like, just can't. She's so warm and giving and wonderful. Even when I wasn't on tour, when I was just living in Jacksonville, just struggling with my own mental health, like, I would drive down to Orlando 2.5 hours and just crash on her couch for a week and just hang out. She's like, babe, stay as long as you need. You know, my couch is always welcome to you. You know?
And she doesn't want anything.
No,
it's just she just
maybe a selfie.
maybe a selfie. She might want
But that's
a selfie,
about
but that's
it.
about it.
You
But
know?
she's not like doesn't ask for anything. She just wants to take care of people, man.
All she wants to do is just make
And
sure
it's
that you're
amazing.
okay.
I mean, she just adopted a girl like a couple years ago. Shay. She like turned 18 and she was still like, I'm still gonna adopt you. Like you're still my kid. Like
Yeah.
period.
What a wonderful
human
wonderful
being.
person.
God damn, Mama.
Oh,
I love you.
I get to see her soon, dude.
Oh, I'm so
I'm
jealous.
gonna fly out and see her.
I should get her on a podcast. What a fucking
Oh my
cool...
God, to pick her brain.
Yeah.
We should fly her out here, man.
Let's do it.
We
I
should
can do it.
that.
Spirit Airlines. Let's go.
No, seriously.
Let's do it. Fuck yeah.
I'll talk to her about it.
Yeah,
I'm sure she'd love.
She'd
to do
love
it.
that. She would love.
Or
it.
if she can't travel, you know,
We can go to her.
we can go to her.
Fuck it.
You know?
Let's do it.
That's a woman who's got
She's got some stories.
so many stories.
She's got some stories, dude. She's had so many bands through her house.
I mean, she's
great. There's
I'm trying
also
to
a
think
group
of, like, early
in
bands that are now big bands that she started out with.
I mean, she's had like I feel like she's had like Bring Me the Horizon, Hands Like Houses.
Hands Like Houses for sure. I don't know about Bring Me, but
I don't know about
Issues would
be a
example.
perfect example.
When they were just a baby band and nobody cared about them, you know, they stayed by her.
Yeah.
And now they're top of the world. They're doing great. You know, they're crushing it. There's a band that works their asses off, and they got to where they are because of that. You
Exactly.
know? But those early days, I'm certain they're grateful for people like her along the way.
Oh yeah.
To just give them hope, to acknowledge that they're doing the right thing. Because, I mean, back on mental health, like every day you wake up, am I doing the right thing? Is this what I'm meant to be doing?
Right.
You know?
Am I wasting my time?
Am I wasting my time?
Yeah.
Honestly, and that's why I continue getting tattoos on the road, because every time I think that, I just look at my arms.
You're
look
like,
at my
I don't
legs,
think
and
I
I'm just
wasted any time.
I didn't waste any time. Look at all these memories I
Yeah.
have. you know?
And like most people don't even leave their hometown.
I know. I can't tell you. Dude,
Crazy.
One of my first trips back to my hometown after I started visiting, one of my first trips back to my hometown after I started touring, I got together with my old rifle team. We had competitive rifle target shooting in my high school.
Justin was supposed to be big time in the military, y'all.
I was fourth in the state of Pennsylvania, and it was kind of a big deal, you know. So I would get calls every day from like military outlets that wanted me. Marines would call, and Air Force would call, and Army would call, and they're like, "We want you to be a part of our team." My father refused to let me join any of those. He would hang up on them. He's like, "You're getting a college education." I'm like, "All right, Dad, you got it." I'm grateful for him for doing that because I would have lost a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, but I got together with all of those kids that I hadn't seen in, almost 15 years. You know. And some of them had traveled via military. Yeah. Some of them stayed in their hometown. And grass was always greener, you know? Mm-hmm. So, like, some of them stayed home, started a family, and they're going to the schools that we grew up going to, you know? And they'd be like, "Oh, I'm so jealous of you. Like, you know, look at you traveling the world. I live vicariously through you." And I'm like, you can do it, too. It's
not that hard.
It's not that hard.
It's not that hard. Justin did it with no money. I did it with no money. You guys, you can do it. Just do it.
It's entirely possible.
Just to like show up at your friend's house after you move across the country and say, "Hey, you want to go to the Grand Canyon like today?"
Oh yeah,
let's go.
I did that. After driving across the country, I drove 8 hours back the other way.
Almost died.
That was great. Almost died.
God,
fucking coyote. Oh God. But like, yeah. One of my first questions that I always ask people who say that I wish I could do that is, well, do you know what it costs?
Yeah.
And 100% of the time, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Okay, let me show you. Boop, boop, boop.
Yep.
Here it is on my phone.
$300.
Where do you want to go? You want to go to Hawaii from here? Round trip.
Yeah.
There you go. They're like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's it? Because in their head, they have this imaginary number.
Big, giant
that it's gonna be
quest
like thousands
you have
of
to go
dollars.
on. Yeah.
And I'm like, no, with things like Airbnb and things like Skiplagged, like
Skiplagged, if you, oh my God, if you travel, if you don't know what Skiplagged is, check it out. If you don't know what Scott's Cheap Flights is, check it out. I'll put these all down below. Amazing resources.
They're cheap and affordable ways to travel.
People have made it easier.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to travel today than it ever was before.
Yeah.
You know? And people get it in their head and they're like, oh, well, if a round trip's going to be like $700. Okay, well, that's like, 2 weeks of pay.
Yeah.
That's it? Oh, wow. And they start thinking, oh, I could do that.
Yeah, like if you just don't go out to that bar for one weekend even, that's a plane ticket, like, Jesus.
Like I found a flight from EWR, Newark, New Jersey, to visit Mama in Florida for $50.
$50, guys. $50. That's like a tank of gas.
Yeah.
Crazy. To fly across the country. No big deal. It's fine. It's insane.
Like, it's entirely possible.
I think
and
people
once
are just scared.
What it costs and how long it'll take you to do it, then it's just pulling the trigger.
Yep.
Man. You just got to do it.
And then once you do it once, you'll never come back.
Well,
I mean, you'll come back, but then you'll go other places.
I have some friends back in Pennsylvania that still live, well, not in the same hometown, but close to, a couple towns over. Mm-hmm. They moved, got a better place because they have a family now. They got 2 kids. And they drove across the country and went to the Grand Canyon.
Wow.
And I was so proud of her for doing that. Like, what an amazing idea.
Yeah.
Like, to make it a family trip, too. Because I think their kids are, oh, my God, I'm going to mess this up. I'm sorry, Smelly. I want to say her kids are, I don't think any of them are teenagers yet. So maybe, like, I think they're in, like, 1st and 2nd grade or something like that. Maybe 2nd and 3rd. I'd have to look at. I don't forget.
That's such
They're
a
all
cool.
8 to
That's
me.
such a fun. Yeah. They're all 8. It's fine.
Old enough to make memories. That's what's important. They're
Right.
old enough to make memories. So
Definitely.
they drove across the country and went to the Grand Canyon.
That's
like, what
so
an
fun.
awesome thing to do with your family.
Yeah.
Like.
And I remember doing that as a kid.
I did that too. My dad would drive us to all. We used to go to Gettysburg all the time. We went up to Niagara Falls a few times.
Yeah, my grandfather, when I was like 13, took me and my cousin. It was my grandpa, grandma, my cousin Alicia, and I, and we went up the whole East Coast from St. Petersburg all the way up to Gettysburg, dude.
I used to go there all the time.
Dude, so sick. Like, what great memories as a kid to get to see the world like that.
Yeah.
And it's
I'm
like,
sure
it wasn't expensive.
No.
They just got in a big old van and drove.
They just drove.
That's it.
And I'm sure it like you craved more, right? You get that little travel bug.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. After you do it once,
more.
you're like, it's like tattoos. You're like, I gotta keep going, man.
Yeah,
gotta
it's
keep
like
getting traveling so I can get more tattoos.
I know. God.
But,
Yeah, no, it's entirely like that. But I love that. I love that that's what it's about. But I always encourage people to travel because I don't know, in my opinion, it's one way to help cultures understand one another.
Yeah.
And it depletes racism.
Yes.
And it depletes sexism.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think the more conversations that are had, the more understanding we have of other cultures, the more accepting we can be.
And that's why
Travel
I think
helps that.
truly I wish that it was required. And in some places it's not required, but it's like an option. You can study
Abroad.
for a year or even a summer in high school abroad. Mm-hmm. And I think if that was like mandatory, like if there was a way that we could across the board, no matter what school you go to, rich, poor, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody needs the chance to be able to go see somewhere that they're not from.
Yeah.
Because that is, like you said, how we get rid of racism, sexism. That's how we become more accepting of other people.
I think it's a step in that direction. I don't know that it'll 100% solve.
Right, it won't
but
solve
I think
it,
it'll
but
help.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, education is the number one issue when it comes to every issue is the lack of education.
Yep.
Period.
Absolutely.
You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like I like that school requirement thing. At least even if they don't want to do it, like at least give them
it
the
an
opportunity
option.
to do so.
Yeah, and like it needs to be something that the state covers because you know, parents aren't going to be able to pay for that. You know, parents can't pay for that kind of shit, you know?
Just along those routes.
Like get a grant.
I was in the high school band, as you were too.
Yeah.
And we were invited, because we were doing so well in competition, to perform in Disney's parade. Mm-hmm. And the band had never been to Florida before. And a lot of us, this was our first time on an airplane.
Yeah.
So this was 2001, so I was a sophomore in high school. And what we did was we got involved in a campaign with, I think it was with Pepsi or whoever owned Hershey. I think it might have been just Hershey. I don't remember if there was like, I don't remember who. But like we would have these boxes of candy and we would sell the candy bar for $1 and we got 50 cents and the company got 50 cents. So it's a 50-50 split. And when you did the math and figured out how many boxes of candy you would have to sell, all of that money went straight to your trip.
Wow.
You know?
That's cool.
It was great.
Yeah.
So all these band kids all around school, you know, kids want to eat candy. So we would sell Hershey bars all day long, you know, crackles and, you know, all that shit. Like, all day long. We're just sitting in study hall, like, who wants candy? Boom, 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 boom. There you go. I think each box was like good for like $100 or something like that. You know,
that's awesome.
It's like 100 candy bars,
Hell
something like that. So like you got $50 for every box. So you sold whatever it was. I think a round trip flight to Florida at the time. This was 17 years ago. I want to say it was like $300, something like that.
It's not bad.
So you sold 6 boxes of candy,
and you're going to Florida, man.
That's your trip.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we had to cover the hotel cost too. So I don't remember that being. We were there for like a week.
Yeah, and I mean, fundraising is a great way to do that stuff. You know, like
everybody,
gets kids
teachers
involved.
would buy candy.
Yeah.
You know, like, instead of just like, here, take the money.
Exactly.
It's like
you earn the money.
It's almost like working for it.
It literally is working for it. You're working to get paid.
And when we went, it was a blast because we all had earned that trip. Now, there were some families that were just kind of like on poverty lines, and we had, you know, grants to help them out, and some of us donated extra boxes that we had extra money for and donated that way. So like that was a way for us all to like even the playing field amongst everybody that was there, and so that everybody could go. And to my knowledge, I'm pretty sure everybody went from the band. I don't think anybody was left out.
That's awesome.
I think the entire band went, and we were like 60 members deep or something like that. It was a lot of kids.
Yeah. If you are in high school, by the way, or college or whatever, and you are trying to like find a way to go somewhere, fundraising is a huge fucking way to do it, man. Like high school fundraising, that pays for so much stuff, man. I was in band, just like Justin said. I was in theater. I lived in the Middle East, and we got invited to go to another country. You know, we got invited to go perform and like do some workshops in another country, which was insane. You know, and that's like
awesome.
That's a whole other type of like studying abroad. You know, going to a completely different country, which is like, I don't know. I wish it was mandatory. I just wish. I wish it was. Fantastic. I wish it was more accessible. You know, I wish there was a better process.
Think it's more accessible now
it is,
than it ever
of
has
course,
been.
definitely. But yeah, if you guys want to get out and see the world, there's easy cheap ways to do it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
just don't make excuses. Stop making excuses and sitting at home and watching Netflix.
Yeah, when you stop like making excuses about it and start doing the research, if you cared enough and actually want to go, sometimes all it takes is like a little flick.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
Here you
just
go.
need a kick in the butt.
Here's your motivation.
Exactly.
And if you have questions, a lot of times like there's the fear, you know, so they just don't know. All of that just comes from a lack of education.
Yep.
And it's very easy to educate yourself with blog posts, websites,
Twitter,
YouTube tutorials,
Instagram,
you know,
everywhere.
even people on Instagram,
Yeah.
you know, like it's very easy to do that.
Yeah.
And I love that. I wish more people would do it. I'd
I
see a
agree.
lot more faces. I wouldn't have to travel as far.
Yeah. That's true.
You know? And if they ever came to visit Mikasa Sukasa, why do you think I always keep getting an extra futon?
Right?
Like, there you go, buddy. There's
Exactly.
your
There's
stay
your
as
bed
long as you
right
need,
there.
You know?
Talk about, deciding to step away from touring and what that was like for you after so much time of having the pressure from, your parents saying, I know we are on
Get
a
a
time
real
constraint,
job.
but
No, we're doing okay. We got like
it's like 15 minutes
25
from here,
minutes, yeah.
so
yeah, we're fine.
cool. Yeah, so pressure from your parents to, get a real job
real
for so
job.
many years and like battling that and now, settling down, slowing down a little bit.
I'm certain everybody who's under 40 knows they don't know what the fuck they want to do with their life. They know what they're good at. Some people are easy at exploiting their strengths and making a good living. Some people have a drive, and that's fantastic that they were able to figure it out young, go to school for what they love. I went to school because it was just the next thing. I didn't know what I wanted to do. For a long time, I wanted to be a teacher, but I don't really have those dreams anymore, When I joined the road, it kind of gave me an excuse to, like, prolong that thought process for a little while, but also, like, get to educate myself about just the world, So having that opportunity, I'm eternally grateful for because it really kind of grew my perspective of what a life could be, And when you start measuring it by experiences instead of money, in my mind, I think that's a lot more valuable.
I agree.
You
You can make more money,
can always make more money.
but you're running out of time to make experiences.
Exactly.
You know.
I mean, shit, there are people still making money after they're dead. Michael Jackson's
True.
still making money.
True.
Kurt Cobain's still making money.
Money's not going anywhere.
Money's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere, but you are, for sure.
Experiences and opportunities do.
Yeah.
And I think it's smart to take advantage of those kinds of things, especially when you're young, when you don't have that many obligations to either...
Or health issues.
Yeah, or health issues, because it can start to get bad.
Definitely.
If you don't take care of yourself. But leaving was hard because it was something I enjoyed doing. Not everybody who joins the road gains success. A very small percentage of people do it, especially in our field.
Yeah. Photography, merch.
Photography is insanely difficult to make money in general, but to make money as a living is incredibly difficult because tours just don't happen often enough. There are only so many bands, and those bands only have so much money, so much budget. Some people are able to network themselves into a way where they don't just get attached to one band like I did. They get a circuit of bands, or a record company, or just like friends of friends, like they're able to kind of bleed those lines of just going from tour to tour, hopping on for 2 weeks here, hopping off, hopping on for a week there, doing a festival fly out, things like that. And that's how they make their money. But it's so tiring and it's a grind. I'm sure you've done this a bunch, just having to fly out back and forth and just that grind of having to work that hard. I commend anybody who does stuff like that. Our very dear friend Bryce is very good at that. Mm-hmm. And that was something that I never figured out, Do I wish I would have? I don't know, maybe. But I'm more of a homebody now these days, which is nice. I'm getting up there. I just turned 33. So I'm grateful for my opportunities to have been on the road. Would I do it again? If the right opportunity came along, sure.
Like if the Spice Girls were like, hey, we really need a merch person for this tour.
I would lose my
Hey,
mind.
Spice Girls, if you guys hear this, hit me up. I got a merch guy for you.
Not likely, but
Not likely. Sorry about it.
That would be great.
That'd be
I would love to
crazy.
tour with them. Like if an opportunity presented itself and the money was right, I might do that. But for now, I'm not looking for tours. Now I just work whatever job I can to save up money to go and see my friends.
See?
And
like, thank God you toured, because if you hadn't, like, you wouldn't have even thought of, like, let me save my money because then I can use it to go travel.
Yeah, I would be buying...
You'd be buying beer, probably.
Like an expensive car.
You'd be not straight edge, for sure.
I know, right?
Yeah, you'd be, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, a life can be whatever you need it to be. And how you value that life is entirely based on your experiences within it. Some people value money, and that's okay. I'm not one of those people. I value experiences. And it's safe to say that those experiences can be had and can be done with help for, I'd say, just about anyone.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier today to do it than you think. Get out there and go, man.
Get out there and go. Talk about, last thing we'll talk about, being straight edge and staying straight edge on tour. How was that? Being around,
That's
rock
easy.
stars, bands. It's easy for people that have like that, dedication to it, but it's definitely...
I lost some friends in
Yeah.
high school, drunk driving accidents. One kid OD'd on drugs. And actually, the girl who lived across the street from me, she OD'd on heroin. Probably like 5 years ago now, something like that.
Yeah.
So like drugs and alcohol were a problem where I grew up, a very small town. And a lot of people didn't see any other way out. That was one way that some people dealt with their mental health. Divorce rates were huge. Just about every one of my friends either had a family that was in the middle of divorce, had already divorced, or were about to divorce. All of my friends were going through that, And being on tour, so I decided that young, just like I didn't want any part of alcohol or drugs, because I had seen the sacrifices that it caused. I had seen the strain on my family and friends, the pain it caused. So I didn't want anything to do with that. So when I joined the road, some people drink. Not everyone drinks to get drunk, and some people just smoke weed. We had a very strict no hard drugs policy. It was just weed for most of the bands I toured with.
Yeah.
And even that wasn't even that big a deal. It would just be like, go and smoke, come back. That's it. It didn't stop them from doing their job. Alcohol would sometimes stop them from doing their job, because sometimes, some people would just be too drunk to even
Think straight.
fly. But the people who dealt with those demons most of them were able to, and I commend them for recognizing it, A, because that's one of the hardest parts, and B, by just getting right.
Doing something about
just
it.
getting right. Some of them, just did it for their family. Some of them did it for themselves, Some of them did it just to stay alive because they saw it as an end, and a very dear friend of mine almost had, he could have lost his life, and he chose to just stop. And it was one of the hardest decisions you have to do, because your body's telling you one thing because of an addiction, and your family and your friends and your heart and your mind, your soul and everything else, your God, is telling you everything else. This is not the path for you. Do not go down this path,
Yeah.
So being around drugs or alcohol wasn't that big a deal for me, because it was very easy for me to say no, because it just wasn't a part of my life. And anybody who wanted to talk about that, I was more than willing to do so. You know, I wasn't one of those preachy straight edgers who.
He wasn't a militant straight
Yeah,
edge guy that's trying to beat you up for
I wasn't
smoking a
swatting
cigarette.
beers or, you know, I wasn't preaching and shoving it down your throat.
Yeah.
You do you, what makes you happy, great. My thing was like, if you need a ride, if you find yourself stranded, do not drive.
Yeah.
100% of the time, my phone was always on, always on, always on. Because if they ever needed a ride in the middle of the night, they were just too much, couldn't get a lift, couldn't whatever, tell me where you are, I'll be there. You know, do not get into a car, do not drive.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No, I don't care.
Yeah.
Don't be that person. Don't fucking be that person.
Seriously.
Because it's not just you. You're putting the lives of anybody you come into contact with at risk. And I just have zero tolerance for that.
Absolutely.
So I was always sober driver.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes it would be like, you know, we'd roll through Vegas, you know, some people would have a good time and like, hey, you do want to pick up an extra driving shift, you know, here's some extra money for doing that. Oh, great. Cool. That's awesome. You know, I don't mind doing that, you know, as long as I get my sleep, I'll be fine. Absolutely. I'll do that. You know, you guys have fun. I wouldn't say it was a sacrifice I made. I think it was just one way to just kind of tilt the scales.
Yeah.
That they could have a good time doing that, and I could make sure that my friends were safe.
Yeah.
You know, and that was value enough for me. Mm-hmm. You know, that justified it for me.
Definitely.
So being straight edge on the road was very easy for me. I mean, it didn't bug me at all. When I was younger, people would be upset. And they'd be like, oh, come on, man. You know, peer pressure and stuff. But the older I get, the more people are like, whoa, respect.
True. Yeah.
You know?
True.
That's happening more often.
And now, like, a lot of people we, you know, I guess grew up touring with or grew up watching, you know, Party on the Road, they're all getting sober now.
Yeah, they're all getting sober now.
They're all getting clean sober because they realize, like, well, this shit's not going to last, is it?
The party's over, man.
It's over, man.
I think that's great.
I do too.
Because it's influencing their music.
Exactly.
And they can write about those struggles. Yeah. And that music can help people going through those struggles. Mm-hmm. It's a never-ending circle, man.
It's powerful,
It's so powerful.
Amazing.
So what is it? What's that quote about? Like, a smart man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, where can we find you? And your Pokemon adventure? Well, what is he doing now? Now he's catching Pokemon.
Yeah, I started making videos again.
They're really fucking rad, too. And I don't even play Pokemon, nor do I give a shit. I think they're cute and stuff, but, like, other than
a friend
that,
of mine reached out to me from Idaho and asked if I wanted to be a part of a project that he was building, and I accepted because he wanted it to be top-tier video work, almost episodic, in that it would be like a show. And so we started this thing called Pallet Town Passport, and it's a way for us to travel and make Pokemon Go videos. And
so sick.
So my first video I did was like a tutorial on how to take AR, that's augmented reality, photographs within the game, how to best utilize my skills as a photographer within the very limited resources of this game. But still, you know, make something cool out of it. You know,
super cool.
The idea is to make, you know, he would do episodes, I would do episodes, and we might invite some other creators to be a part of the channel too. So it's a collaborative effort, this Pallet Town Passport. So I just got back from Alaska, so I got to cut that video together and produce that and push that out. But it's not content for the sake of content. It's content for the sake of having quality.
Yeah.
You know, so that's our end game, is to have just solid quality video work on a thing called Pallet Town Passport.
Hell yeah.
So that's the brand right now. You can find me on Twitter at JCPix3, on Instagram at JCPix3. That's all the things, right?
Yeah, in the website.
JCPix3.com.
That's
it.
That's
me. Yeah.
Thank you.
And then if you want to see my Pokemon photography, I started an Instagram called at Pop Punk Pokemon YT.
All right.
That's me, brah.
Thanks, dude. I love you.
Love you too. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for checking out this podcast. I will talk to you next week on Project Freelance. If you guys need help with anything like uploading your own stock photography, There are a bunch of links down below for that. If you want to buy some of my stock photography or videos, you can do that as well. I have photo prints for sale. I have music out, got shirts. I'm working on like clothing line type of stuff with this No Tracers urban exploration movement that I've got going on. Lots to come. But thank you for checking this out. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys next week. Later.